Studies show that those who lead with compassion, not guilt, stuck to their goals longer, even through adversity. Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. I'm your host, Laura Cavallo, former sugar binger, overeater, and yo-yo dieter turned fat loss and cravings coach for hundreds of busy women. Here at Cravings Control for Fat Loss, I'll be sharing mindset, movement, and metabolism strategies for those who are ready to ditch the fat diet cycle and slim down without counting calories, tracking points, or giving up any of the foods they love. Get ready to embrace progress over perfection, grace over guilt, and bring curiosity and learning to the inevitable ups and downs of your life. Expect a decrease in your cravings while seeing and feeling an improvement in how you look, how you feel, and your overall quality of life. I am so excited you're here, boo. Let's get started. Hey there, boo. I have a special gift for you. I created a free guide with 10 proven ways to reduce afternoon cravings and nighttime overeating. And I created this in response to knowing that this is a really big struggle for a lot of women out there, and maybe it is for you too. It's like once the afternoon hits, you can't stop snacking, you're grazing, you're looking for sugar, you're looking for something to soothe, to comfort you, to deal with stress. Maybe you're on the go and you just like don't have time to make anything or cook anything, and then one treat leads into the next. So in this guide, you're going to learn how to get control of your eating with simple and actionable tips that you can start to do right away, okay? And the guide is completely free. I created it just for you. So you're going to scroll to the resources section below and click the link to download it. After you do and you thumb through it, shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know which tip you're going to start implementing this week and what you think of the guide. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to another episode of Cravings Control for Fat Loss. My name is Laura Cavallo, your cravings coach, and I am back in the studio. And by studio, I mean my little home office with a spare bed in it. I'm batch recording some episodes for the remainder of October and into November. I batched a bunch of episodes in September because I was launching the Cravings Code and doing the Cravings Cleanup Challenge. So I really wanted to give myself the time and energy to focus on that. But now I'm back to episode recording. So I'm super excited to share with you another CRAVELESS 2-minute tip with you. And, everything I try and share is with the goal of helping you reduce cravings and assist you in your fat loss journey if that's one of your goals. But most of the women here have some sort of cravings goal or control that they're trying to work towards. Avoid overeating, managing hunger, managing cravings, getting out the all or nothing mindset. And there are so many actionable items and tangible things that we can do in our day-to-day. And you've already heard me share some of them, like optimizing your bedroom and going on a walk and having more water. But ultimately, these habits are not going to maintain and retain and stick if you are not going into your cravings journey with a growth mindset, with a mindset that is allowing you to make mistakes, allowing you to grow, allowing you to learn from the journey, allowing you to build self-efficacy, and also leading with empathy and compassion. And what I have noticed over the years of working with women in the craving space is there is just so much of the opposite of that. There is a lot of shame. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of regret and self-loathing and self-deprecation. And you can even just hear as I say those words and those emotions, just how negative and heavy they are. Right? So imagine trying to work towards a goal, a health goal, something that takes work and time and perseverance, and you're doing it with carrying this heavy weight of shame and guilt and frustration and regret. It's going to take you so much longer to get there. You're also not going to be able to reach your fullest potential in terms of your cravings journey. And I like to equate guilt and shame kind of like a thick fog that you can't really see through. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can't observe your habits and your routines and get curious about them and why things are causing your cravings, or things that could be contributing to holding you back from fat loss, right? The shame and guilt almost makes you so desperate and so hateful towards yourself, and so in this viewpoint that you can't see beyond. And so today's CRAVELESS 2-minute tip, which we're already probably over 2 minutes, is helping you reframe your thoughts from guilt, shame, and negativity to more compassion, empathy, and grace. And I'm going to just share a little bit about sort of my backstory and why I feel so strongly about this, and the power of shifting your mindset around some of these feelings and emotions. Is I learned a few years ago about the power of guilt and how it can eat you up. And it's one of the emotions that will never truly teach you anything, like, say, anger or happiness can. And this guilt that I carried around was in relation to my dad passing away and growing up with some of those childhood wounds, mostly as a result of, towards my mom, towards my brother, sort of like how I acted as a kid rebelliously, and then feeling guilty and ashamed because of that, looking back in hindsight, or, not being as nice to my mom or not being as nice to my brother, or, just like cringe shit that I would do as a teenager, even in my 20s, that like were out of trauma and needing attention and love. And, as I grew into my 20s and early 30s, I began noticing all these unhealthy patterns amongst like my partnerships with boyfriends, and how I would react to certain interactions with people. I would be really like aggressive and abrasive and intense and just very hurt, right? But in a way that I would express it in a way that was really just like, whoa, like chill girl. My college friends would call me Strong Island because I was just like so New York. And so after noticing all these patterns and just really wanting to change how I reacted in certain situations, I seeked out the support of a spiritual psychologist. I went on a 3-day retreat in Sedona, and I worked with spiritual psychologists for 3 days to kind of help me heal through some of my childhood trauma and childhood wounds. When I went on this spiritual retreat, I was sharing with this psychologist how I felt a lot of guilt. I was carrying on a lot of guilt about how I had acted and treated people. And she shared an excerpt with me that I want to share with you. And trust me, this is going somewhere. So just stick with me, okay? So the excerpt that she shared with me is, all of our emotions are natural. They're like warning lights that flash us and tell us something is not right, needs our attention, or is out of balance. Guilt is the one emotion that is not natural and helpful in this sense. It is something we impose on ourselves that makes us self-critical and judgmental. It shuts us down and does not serve us or anyone else. We cannot learn from the guilt the way we can learn from our other emotions. We need to recognize guilt when it shows up and name it for what it is. We need to talk to the guilt and tell it that you do not value it. You are not going to listen to it, and it does not serve your highest good. In each moment, we do the best we can given the set of circumstances, pressures, fears, and emotions. We would do differently or better if we could. There is no value in regretting past actions. We can learn from them and move on. We can even feel inspired to make amends, but it does no good to blame ourselves and put ourselves down. That's really powerful, right? You might be thinking like, oh shit, this is a completely different way to view guilt and shame, and maybe gives you some relief that you can just leave it behind. And so I visited this spiritual psychologist in 2016, 2017. And in those coming years, I began noticing when guilt would come up in my life. And I started realizing that it was so much around my diet habits. And so it helped me become more compassionate with myself. And the interesting thing is that later on in 2020, when I would take the health coaching mindset certification with Casey Jo Orvidas, who has a PhD in psychology and growth mindset, I started seeing the patterns of how coaching clients by leading with compassion and grace and curiosity actually helped those that were pursuing fat loss or weight loss actually stay more consistent on their track and actually saw better results. And when I started coaching with compassion and grace and empathy and encouraging my clients to also lead with that, they had incredible transformations that they were in a way that they were able to leave the shame and guilt behind and actually move forward with imperfect diet, imperfect nutrition, imperfect exercise, which allowed them to stay more consistent over time. So it's a complete reframing of your negative thoughts. Okay. And so the goal here is to lead with more compassion, empathy, and grace. And as I mentioned, studies show that those who lead with compassion, not guilt, stuck to their goals longer, even through adversity. That's because when you lead with compassion and you ask yourself, what can I learn? How can I improve? What changes can I make moving forward? You turn it into a learning experience, right? Versus a shameful experience or something you need to be embarrassed of. So my CRAVELESS 2-minute tip for you is to say this mantra anytime you feel guilt. Okay. I did the best I could in that moment, given all that was going on. I'm not going to carry this burden. It does not help me. Instead, I will learn from this and make adjustments to how I approach or do things moving forward. So in general, I just want you to observe, like, where are you inflicting this shame, guilt, regret, self-loathing upon yourself? Are you leaving space for curiosity, compassion, grace, understanding, empathy, flexibility? And if you're not, start to bring that in slowly into your day-to-day, into your actions, into your routines, into your interactions. We're just all doing the fucking best we can, honestly. So I know that this kind of went deep, but again, this is something that we certainly must address and talk about when it comes to cravings and fat loss, because those journeys are emotional, right? Those journeys are layered. It's not just about eat this and do that. It's multi-layered, multifaceted, and definitely taps into our mindset and how we feel about food and ourselves. So I'd love to know if you felt like this was helpful for you. Go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram below. I would love, love, love to connect with you. I would love to know what you think of these episodes. And I would love to know if there's anything that you want me to speak more on the episode. So go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram below and let's connect. Thanks so much, Boo. I'll talk to you soon.